What's up guys, Fractal BC, and I got a really interesting video for you today. 2 Algorand game updates and one blast from the past that we're going to look at. Yeah, that's right, we got Yeti suddenly being active on social media and they're talking about going to another chain. I think that post is hilarious. We're going to get into that one at the end, but first I want to go through my experience with Gunny, the alpha playtest. I'm going to talk about the good and the bad, as we always do, with the underlying assumption that it is an alpha game, so you know, we only expect so much. It's supposed to be buggy, that's kind of the point of testing it. And some updates on Fractal Monsters, who also happens to be our sponsor, so I'll talk about that in a second. Before we get into all that, guys, I love it if you hit that subscribe button, as well as click the like button, helps the algorithms. And as I always say, you don't have to smash it, press it gently. It works just fine that way. Basically, the premise of this channel is I do the experiment, I try things out, and I let you know what works and what doesn't. And that's the real reason I cover Algorand a lot, is because generally it kind of works. Or a lot of other chains, they just don't. So speaking of works and not works, let's get into the Gunny experience. So I got some notes that I took. I got into the alpha. This game, it's kind of like, I described it sort of like Fortnite, and someone told me they didn't think it was exactly like Fortnite. I get the point. The point is, like, it's like basically a 3D shooter. You're behind your character, so you see your character on the screen, which is kind of what I meant by that. But it is more of like a tower defense, or in this case, like the level that we play, you got 3 players and you're cooperating to shoot the monsters and eventually get your way to the big monster. And yeah, I'm pretty happy with this game overall. I just think it's it's a great game that's coming on the Algorand blockchain. And before we get into that, I do want to give a shout out to our sponsors. One of those is non-fungible domains. So if you want to get that .algo address next to your name, that's how you do it. A lot easier than all those letters and numbers, and it works just about everywhere. So much easier just to, like, for example, for me, I put in frugalbc.algo and it works. So yeah, I'm really happy with that. It works really well, and make sure to check them out in the link below. And we are brought to you by Fractal Monsters, which is also, we're going to have an update on them today, where they're going with it. Now, I love Fractal Monsters because I think it's one of the game projects on Algorand that said what it was going to do, and it's been doing it. They keep building, they keep providing value to their game, and I really appreciate that. I'm going to talk about that a little later too, and go a little deeper into that. But for now, just want to give a big shout out to Fractal Monsters for supporting the channel. And like I said, I'm really careful about what entities I select to be a sponsor on the channel. Not everyone can get in here. Like, you have to demonstrate that you're going to do the right thing. That's how you be a sponsor on this channel. So if you're brand new, if you don't have a project done yet, you're just not going to be on. Like, frankly, I'm probably not going to talk about you, because I want to see proof that you're doing what you're doing. I take audience trust really, really seriously, and that's Fractal Monsters has come through. They've done what they said, as has non-fungible domains. Both great projects on the Algorand blockchain. But enough about that. I want to talk about Gunny, because yeah, so they put out a while back, they put out a post where you could get a free hero and a Nugi to play the game with, and I thought that was really cool. I thought instead of like doing this big sale, they just said, hey, well, if you sign up in this time, you can get one for free. And then after that, you could get on the whitelist to use the closed alpha. Now, the public alpha is coming very soon, where anybody with those critters will be able to play. And if you didn't get a free one, I do think you can buy them somewhere. I haven't checked recently, so yeah, so we got to try it out, and it's been live for a few weeks now. They have a PC and a Mac version. So right away I couldn't play it, but then it didn't take them, gosh, I think it was like that same week they came out with the Mac version. I was surprised. I thought that would take a lot longer, but they came out with it, and I was playing it. Now, one little caveat about the Mac version, they have not signed up with Apple ID as an ID to developers. So if you have Catalina and greater, you're probably not going to be able to download the game until they get that sorted out. Mojave and lower, you should be. So my one laptop I have is Mojave, so it actually works. I'm able to override the thing where it says, are you sure you want to trust this? You have to go into the preferences, into security, and manually do it. I tried everything I could to get it to work on a Catalina machine. In fact, the one behind me right here, I was going to try to do that. Could not get it to work. It's really disappointing. Yeah, I could even get it. I used like command line, where it's like makes the anywhere option appear, and that still would not let me download it. So I will say, just to start off with, it's a lot of fun. It's really cool. Took me a while to figure out the controls. That was one thing I was going to mention, that I think every game developer, when you put a game out there, you should have an instruction list for the commands, because they're not intuitive. I didn't know. Like, for example, I never got to the end boss because I didn't know there was a sprint command, and there's no documentation telling you. So I think if you're going to do, anytime you're going to put a game out there, you ought to have like a little thing that tells people exactly how to play it. Now, this is a very early build, right? So keep that in mind with everything I'm saying, because I do think they did a good job overall, and there's definitely like bugs and stuff to be worked out. The latest, I have not actually been able to play the game for about a week. The reason why is there was an issue where it usually would take you 2 or 3 times to log in, because you'd log in with your Pair wallet, and sometimes it would take you to the next screen, sometimes it would be stuck on that loading screen. The last couple times I've tried it, I can't get past the loading screen no matter how many times I do it. I think they're working on a new update, and I think that update will be live for the public alpha, so keep that in mind. I think because of that, they're not going to go back and update the previous version, because they're working on that update, so that's fair. One thing that really surprised me is I already earned on this game, and not only the in-game currency, but I actually earned some US dollar coin, which that surprised me. I didn't see that coming. I hadn't seen them talk about that anywhere. Maybe they did. And I don't know if that was just for the alpha or if that's going to be a feature, but like, yeah, I made like gosh, probably 80-90 cents just playing the game from picking up some US dollar coin, which I thought was kind of cool. I also made enough in-game currency to buy like X new critters, so that's pretty cool, because a lot of games don't let you do that. A lot of games, like, they put it really far out of reach because they want you to pay for it. Now the latest update, it's going to have player versus player tournament plus prizes, so we're really looking forward to that. Like I said, it's been delayed, I believe, but it is coming, so keep an eye out for that. A couple little things besides the instructions and kind of related to that. So they had a Discord channel for the players that were in the closed alpha, but no announcement. And I really think they should have had an separate announcement, because sometimes it got really hard to find their instructions or to find their versions. Like, I always missed that they had the Mac version out because it was buried in the comments. And there's nothing really indicates on Discord. I don't think, maybe it does when there's a pinned comment. Maybe there is, and I just don't know it, but I'm not a big fan of Discord, as a lot of you probably know anyway. But I think it probably was a good idea to have the closed alpha commenting in Discord. But for sure should have had a separate announcement channel so you could see some of those things. And then that's where they could have put some of the commands. Someone else had the commands that helped later on, but that was much further down the road. It was one of the last times I played where I actually saw that command list on Discord. That came from a player. And then one of the issues was that there just never was enough. It was really hard to get enough players to actually play the game. So it was a setup to have 3 players at once, and most of the time I would log in and it would be 1 of 3, and you'd sit there and I'd try to do something. I'd leave it up for like 30-40 minutes to see if anyone will come while I do something else, and you wouldn't get anything. So actually the first 2 or 3 times I tried to play, there was nobody around. And then I set up, because I think they should have done this, I think they should have said, hey, let's set up some like times to where maybe we'll be ready to play with players, so that you guys can make sure you guys have enough players to test it out. Or and you can, of course, we'd be free to do it in other times, but to have some gathering times. And I think I did that, and I think a couple other people started doing that, which kind of made some sense. And but once we got playing, it was pretty fun. I think the controls are good. I think it'd probably be more fun with a controller than the laptop controller, but it did work pretty well. And I like the colors. I think the design of the game is pretty cool. It's pretty limited because it's an alpha, so there's only 1 level. And I never got to the boss. I killed the boss once because I was on the other side of the chasm, and then I just shot at the boss while the other person was on the other side. I never actually got across the chasm, because the one time I actually knew about the sprint command, I still, it was kind of funny. I posted in Discord, hey, I never get across the chasm. And they said something like, well, you just use the sprint button. And I'm like, well, you guys never told us about that. So anyway, I don't want to belabor that too much, because I really do think this game has a lot of promise, and I like that. And I just think some of these things are instructionals for, if you're working on a game, if you're a developer and you're working on a game right now, these are some of the things that you ought to think about when you have some sort of testing or release. Definitely instructions, and having a separate announcement channel so people can find the information from you very quickly without getting buried in all the noise. But yeah, very, very bullish on Gunny. I think it's going to be a great game when it's live and ready to go and you can play it. Really good entry to the Algorand ecosystem, and probably the first that like seems like an actual console game that someone might go out and buy, or maybe at least buy on Steam for like 15-20 bucks or something. I don't know. I also want to get into Fractal Monsters. So Fractal Monsters has announced some new updates and they sound really cool. I like the look of them. I like what's going on. Let's take a look at what they got going here. Okay, so this is their updates that they're talking about. It says, we are extremely excited to connect the tamers on Fractal Island with upcoming online play. Just to be clear, I do not have a tamer. I only have one of the pets. I have one of the monsters that I bought. And I bought it on the secondary market, and I bought it during a downturn of algo. So the algo prices stayed the same, but the cost of that algo went way down, and then that's when I bought one. They're gonna have player versus player coming up. I know if a lot of you play it, you go into the versus mode, and it's just the AI, which has gotten better than it was, but still not great. Still pretty easily defeatable. Co-op dungeons, and I think co-op dungeons sounds cool. And then online multiplayer exploration. All of that sounds like a lot of fun. It sounds really cool. Let's look at this too. I love that big giant. I love that big giant critter. That just looks like a lot of fun. And you know, if I'm looking at it, it looks like there's multiple critters that are attacking this. Probably a boss level person here. And here we got. I think this is. Oh, this must be the dungeon. That's really interesting. So actually, that kind of looks like my critter. Sort of similar to that. It's got that same face. That's really interesting. So yeah, like I said, I think, and that's just a quick update, I think Fractal Monsters has been doing it right. And the reason I say that is because they keep building and they keep providing value to the players. And I think that's really important. You know, that's where I think Gala Games really went wrong. I think they just focus more on NFTs and selling NFTs than they do providing value. Alex Hormozi talks about this. You know, the formula is provide value, times whatever, and then you make an ask, which I think is what Fractal Monsters is doing here. You know, they're providing value. So if you bought a critter, you know, every once in a while there's new stuff for you to do in this game, and that's the way it should be. So I got really frustrated since I made that Gala is Dead video. I have not touched Townstar, so for any fans of Townstar who are watching my channel, like, I'm just not going to do updates on them anymore. I am literally done with them. I just simply won't support them when they showed such disrespect for their players, and they just will not. They just refuse to provide any real value for their players, and they focus on NFTs. These updates are like continually delayed. As far as I know, earnings still isn't back on. Maybe it's popped back on at this point, but I doubt it. I think it's probably a safe bet that it's not. Meanwhile, like every week they got new NFTs for you to buy. You know, it's just a cash grab, and it's really sad. And I think some of their other Gala games are trying something different from that, but for the most part, that seems to be the attitude of Gala, and I just don't like the way the founder talks to, you know, the way they disrespected Dubstep Rob, who has done like more than just about anybody for the Townstar ecosystem and some of their other games. I'm surprised he stayed, to be honest. Maybe he's too invested. That was the last straw for me, and the last straw of many straws. So anyway, good for Fractal Monsters for not being like that, being the opposite. I really appreciate that. And I want to show you guys one more thing, because guess who is talking now? Yieldly is talking. Yieldly, we all know Yieldly, and we all have our issues with them. So Yieldly posts which ecosystem next, and they also posted like GM, good morning. Nobody's saying good morning to you. Nobody likes you, Yieldly, okay? I covered like the downfall of Yieldly already on this channel. I think you can go check out that video. I think it's pretty well known. So they ask which ecosystem next: Solana, Cosm, Wasm, Aptos, Sui, Vera, or EVM. I'm like, I don't care. You just go away. That's all I care about. Nobody cares about you, Yieldly. You've already like destroyed any trust you had in this ecosystem. Let's just read some of the comments, because I think these are so funny. Why did I deliver a working product on Algorand first before expanding to other chains? NLPG is up. Nobody cares about your low loss lottery, whatever that is. And 508, then they gave up. 508 Visual says, I just want you to know that you're a failure. You robbed hundreds of thousands from us. We loved your DAP, and you really beeped with us. So it's beep you forever. You guys had first movers advantage on Algorand, Algorand, and failed to evolve the project. Yeah, well, you failed to even do what you were doing. I mean, it just turned into a nightmare. It just stopped working. So many people were saying, I can't get my stuff off. I was getting so many comments from people saying, I can't get my stuff off. Rick Flair asked one hoodie. Someone said BitConnect. This person said one hoodie and says, do me your address. What did Solana? You pick and choose when you want to work and be active. It suits Yieldly. Introducing the new socials intern. Tone deaf. Is that a joke? Choosing your next victim chain. Wow. The face palm. Cringe. Playing with my money is like playing with my emotions. Whereas Algo Booty says, really? This is your big entrance when literally 99% of your followers are on Algorand. LMAO, the ball's on this rug. Solana is a perfect match. Both will stop working time to time by design. Yeah, so not a lot of love for Yieldly. This is what I'm talking about when I say trust is so important in crypto. This is why I take that so seriously myself. Plus, it's just part of my nature, frankly. But crypto companies, you cannot stop communicating. You can't stop communicating. This is what happened with Yieldly. They just suddenly weren't answering any questions. Apparently their whole dev team quit at one point, it sounded like, and frankly the stuff just didn't work. That's the other thing on crypto. If like your stuff doesn't work, you better bust your butt to make it work. That's another thing with Townstar. Like the earn was off and it was unfunctional, and they just don't seem to care. The business is really simple. It's like, do what it says on the tin. Tell people you're going to do something and then do that and do it well. It's pretty simple. All the fancy marketing's great. It's very important. But at the end of the day, you got to provide a product, and you got to provide what you say you're going to do it, when you're going to do it, or as close as you can. And if you can't, you got to communicate that a lot. Bottom line, Yieldly failed on all those accounts. As have other projects that we've pointed out. But that's all I have for this week. A rant over, and I'm Frugal BC. Stay safe out there, and I will see you in the future.